Life to Bros video, and now we have finally finished our 22 to 23 season for all the top 5 leagues. Well, all the leagues in the world, I'm pretty sure, who are on this schedule. So we're going to be looking at the top 5 leagues, or top 6 leagues, because we're going to look at Liga Portugal. And so let's start here with the Premier League. So obviously the Champions League, third time in a row winners for the best team in the league. It's Manchester City with 89 points, and I think they scored 94 goals, it looks like, which is a great amount considering they signed Haaland this season, and he's just been a game changer. And if you haven't heard of him, you've obviously been living under a rock. And, of course, Kevin De Bruyne has been a big part of that squad, and literally the whole squad. Like, they've always played well this season. The defensive line's been very good. The midfield is very good, and of course Gundogan. He scored 2 goals in the FA Cup final to win City the FA Cup, and even of course the attack and wingers have been really good, and just an overall really good squad with a great coach. So, of course, it wasn't just like every single time it's Man City, but throughout the season it's not just Man City winning like every single game constantly, and there's no race at all. Well, there always has been, and this season it was surprisingly Arsenal where were second place. They, for most of the season, actually were probably ahead of Man City, but the last few games they bottled it, and they came second place. It was a really good fight. They get Champions League football next season, but everyone thought they were going to win. They just couldn't hang on till the end. But yeah, it was a really good performance from them. They have some really good players: Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, of course, Saka. Their back line is very good, and Aaron Ramsdale, a great keeper. And, of course, Arteta, our manager. So in third, we have Man United. Fourth, Newcastle, and those two take up the Champions League spots for next season. So Newcastle, one of like the teams nobody really cared about last season. Not that much history except for like Alan Shearer. Well, other than that, not a big club. And and all their players stepped up this season, like Almiron, who was very good at the beginning of the season, Wilson, their defenders Sven Botman and Dan Burn, Joelinton, Murphy, and Kieran Trippier, probably the best player in their whole squad. The captain was such a good player and led them all the way to fourth place, which is so surprising for Newcastle. And I just can't believe, nobody can believe, and nobody thought at the beginning of the season that they would get fourth place, and it's just an amazing performance from them. And Man United, they started off the season slow. I made a video about them with their ups and downs, but they managed to get third place, which is good, even without Ronaldo. I feel like someone that most people don't really talk about. They usually talk about like Rashford and Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, who all, don't get me wrong, played really good this season. But a player who I really like is Alejandro Garnacho, who whenever he comes on as a sub, and he was just promoted this season, whenever he comes on as a sub, he's such a good player, and he always manages to find the net, and yeah, great player. So we have Liverpool and Brighton taking up the Europa League spots. So Liverpool, they've had ups and downs. Salah's probably been their best player, but I don't think they've had a good season. But on the other hand, Brighton, oh my God, similar to Newcastle, they've been such a good team. And with their coach, McAllister, also a World Cup winner, Gross, and Ciso, who has scored bangers this season. Basically, he also scored the best goal of the Premier League season. And in 7th place for the Conference League, we have Aston Villa, who was definitely carried by Ollie Watkins and Douglas Luiz played a big part there. And Tottenham didn't get any Champions League football, so looks like they won't be seeing a trophy anytime soon. Crystal Palace in 11th, Fulham, Brentford, who had a really good season, Ivan Toney, but he just got suspended, which wasn't a good thing for Brentford, but they've played really good this season, and Chelsea in 12th. So, from 2 years ago, they won the Champions League, such a good team, lots of young players, and now they're in 12th. I don't even know what happened. They've signed over what £500 million in the summer and winter, with bringing in like Mudrik, Joao Felix, and Enzo Fernandez, and they end up at 12th. So I don't really know what's going on with them. They haven't been playing that well. Hopefully they can pick it up this season. So yeah, we'll have to see. Wolves in 13th, West Ham in 14th, who actually won the Conference League, and West Ham's won a European trophy, but Tottenham haven't. Wow. Bournemouth 15th, Nottingham Forest 16th. Bournemouth is also and Nottingham Forest from the EFL, so not getting relegated this season is pretty good. So I wonder how they'll stay up next season. It might be hard for them, but we'll see. Everton just barely surviving, and Leicester getting relegated. How does that even happen? Like, Madison was probably their best player, but they just weren't clicking this season. I mean, their center backs, Faust, I mean, he wasn't playing very well. Jamie Vardy, not as good either. And just like uh, several years ago, they won the Premier League, and now they're relegated. So I don't know how they're gonna definitely get first place in the EFL championship next season, but oh my god! And then Leeds with the three Americans at Southampton also being relegated. So this is the Premier League season. Let's go on to the next league. Okay, next we have the Serie A league, and just by looking at this, you probably would be really shocked. So Napoli, one of the best teams in Europe this season. It's sad that they got out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, but wow, with like amazing players that nobody even knew about before the season, you couldn't tell me before the season that they would win. The Scudetto. I would just think you're joking. So before the season, people had doubts in them. You know, they lost Koulibaly, sold him, Dries Mertens, Lorenzo Insigne, who were really good for the club over the past couple of years, and they were probably the best players. You know, Insigne and Dries Mertens getting the goals, and Koulibaly being an absolute beast in the back for Napoli. Now we see him not doing that well for Chelsea. So things have gone downhill for them, and also Dries Mertens went to Galatasaray, and Insigne for Toronto FC in the MLS, I think. So, but they brought in only for like £10 million. They have Kvaratskhelia. I think they brought in Zambo Anguissa, and Kim Min Jae were the three top ones. And Kim Min Jae, what a player he is! Like, oh my gosh, he's like a great replacement for Koulibaly, and he played so well at the World Cup as well. And also Kvaratskhelia, he's been arguably Napoli's best player of the season, scoring so many goals, such a good playmaker, and we can now call him Kvaradona, like Maradona. So, and then Zambo Anguissa has been very good as a CDM in the midfield that has been very helpful to Napoli this season. And of course, Osimhen, who has really peaked at this season. Most people thought of him as a flop leaving Wolfsburg, but now this season he's really sparked for Napoli. And they're number 9, yeah. Also, Zielinski from Poland is also a very good player. And Di Lorenzo at right back, he's very good as well. So overall, a really good squad, and they're winners. And it's pretty surprising, but they really earned it. I wanted them to get to like the finals or at least the semifinals of the Champions League, but unfortunately they got out pretty early. Well, actually, it's pretty good for them, but earlier than most people would have liked. So next we have Lazio. I haven't really seen much of them this season, you know. Ciro Immobile, who's been playing really good these past few seasons, hasn't really been playing well. I haven't really looked into them that much. I'm not that sure how they got second this season, you know. But moving on to third, we have Inter, obviously in the final of the Champions League. We don't want them to win. Like, we want Lautaro Martinez to like get injured or something. Not in a bad way, but like, you know, we don't want. I'm a City fan, so we don't want Inter near that trophy at all. And AC Milan also with Rafa Leao, who's a very good skiller in winger with really good potential, and he could be moving to an even better club. but I think Milan's a good fit for him as he's been there for a few seasons. So the both Milans they've had started low this season, but I think they've really picked it up. So next we have Roma and Atalanta. So I haven't really seen much of Atalanta, but Roma, they were reached the Europa League final after a goal from Paulo Dybala, but they lost in penalties, and that was Jose Mourinho's first European final loss, which was pretty crazy for them. And after leaving Juventus, Dybala has been very good for Roma, one of their star players. Of course, I said they scored in the final. And next we have Juventus. So there's a lot going on with them at the moment. Like they dropped to 15th twice because of the transfer irregularities. Sorry. Um, but yeah, they've really picked it up though as they finished in 7th. They were at I think 3rd at some point, but it's been a roller coaster season for them, and hopefully they can do better in the next season. Like I think Di Maria was their best player, and he's pretty old, so it's hard. It's not. It's hard for him as he scored a World Cup final goal, but he's getting older. He might leave soon, but I don't know. And Pogba has been injured for most of the season. So the rest of the league, I don't know much about the teams in Serie A, but these are the main 7. And Fiorentina also won the Conference League yesterday with the only player I really know from them is Amrabat and Gonzalez, which played a very big part. So yeah, this is the Serie A, and we'll go to our next league.